Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Courtside Soundoff podcast today. I'm Josh Evanoff. He is the one and only Angel Ortega. A lot of stuff to talk about this week. We got some UFC stuff, some Bellator, NBA, and some fan questions that you guys went ahead and sent in through our social medias. Before we get into that and more, I'm going to talk to you guys about Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy was founded in January 2017 to be the best gaming drink in the world. Built a premium stack in the form of a delicious energy and focus drink. It's designed to replace unhealthy canned energy drinks, coffee, and even traditional pre-workouts. Rogue Energy is sugar-free and is loaded with vitamins, antioxidants, and nootropics. They're designed by Rogue Energy for the emerging professional competitive gaming market. It continues to have fantastic carryover and success. Students, athletes, entrepreneurs, and anyone looking to optimize their mental and physical performance. If you want 10% off your order, use the code SOUNDOFF at checkout. That's code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off of all your energy needs. Last Saturday night from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sterogon got the big win he's been waiting for a long time. Obviously, he did the Jairzinho Rosenstrike win last year, but it never really, earlier this year, I should say, in February, but it never really got that sort of big, it never felt like a big moment. I mean, he knocked out JDS, but obviously JDS has been going downhill for quite a long time. Man, this was just one-sided traffic against a guy in Alexander Volkov, who, I mean, you and I talked about it before this fight, about how he's probably the best stand-up striker in the division, especially technically wise. And Sterogon went in there and he put it on him. He outpointed the guy who's probably the best technical striker in the division we thought going in, man. You asked me last week how you thought, like I said, you asked me how Sterogon could possibly win this fight, man. Even I did not see that coming. He did it in the way that we least expected, outpointing him on the feet. Man, what are your thoughts about Sterogon moving forward in the division and also his win over Volkov?
I mean, good for him. I mean, if it did happen, I did have the idea to go to distance. He stretched it out. I didn't think he'd finish Volkov. Obviously a little sad for Volkov because obviously he's had his ups, his downs. Man, he just needs to let his hands go, man. Honestly, he could have won that fight. He really wasn't. Realistically, he could have made those rounds really hard to judge and snuck away with a good victory here. Obviously, Gane is a very mobile, very talented guy in the division, and obviously we'll get into the news that came out literally earlier this week regarding what's going to be happening with him going forward. And I hope we see Volkov again. Honestly, Josh, obviously we know what's happening for Gane. We're not going to get into that right now. But what's next for Volkov? Obviously the division's kind of in a weird spot. He lost to Blades. Blades coming off a loss. Obviously Derek has a fight schedule, which we're about to talk here about in a bit. Jairzinho has his fight scheduled. What is next for Volkov?
Man, look at the roles we're getting reversed. You actually went ahead and asked me the question. As far as what's next for Volkov, man, I mean, take your pick at like the lower half of the top 10. I think most of the division is kind of booked at the moment. I know obviously they just announced a title fight. I know Ngannou, he's not going to be fighting. Actually, they just booked Jairzinho. Maybe Shamil Abdurrahimov. Maybe Taboris got to win.
He's booked. Shamil is booked against Chris Dawkins. So I was
Shamil
thinking
is
that.
Booked. I think Tybura then.
Yeah, I think Tybura is the most realistic one. Yeah, I think that'd be a good fight. Reasonable. Good challenge and pushes him decently up the rankings if he gets that win. He would go up 2 spots, which would be fair, I think, for him. It's not a bad fight, and obviously Volkov's coming off a loss. So yeah, I agree with that. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so as far as that goes, look, man, I don't want to really get too much into Sterogon right now, just because we'll be talking about him in a couple of minutes with the news of his fight against Derek Lewis. But we can go ahead and move down to the co-main events. Sort of a heavyweight fight. We went in calling it the first ever cruiserweight fight. Tanner Boser, man, picking up the win over Vince St. Preux, not without controversy.
Yep.
He did knock him out in the second round. Obviously, round 1 was all Boser. I mean, he looked like he was on pace to just completely dominate OSP. However, he in that second round, OSP took him down. He got the body lock. I believe he may have also gotten full mount at one point. He looked like he was doing some good work on the ground. Boser managed to work his way to the fence. He pulled himself up with the fence. Allegedly, still we don't know. It's not a good camera angle, but yeah. So as far as that goes, and then he proceeded to get up and knocked out OSP with the right hand. So Angel, what are your thoughts on sort of the controversy with the situation? And
I mean, it was looking good for Boser, first of all, which obviously he was in big need of a win, and I still don't name for him. Granted, OSP been going down a bit. But I said, I was like, hey, man, I wouldn't count out OSP because OSP can get a sneaky, submission here, take him down. Obviously, we've seen, there's some trouble there with Boser, maybe. Obviously, on the hands and feet, obviously, Boser's going to have an advantage. Good hands, good movement, active, hard to finish. But yeah, I mean, the controversy was definitely something. Obviously, like I said, we don't have a good camera angle. For me, the big thing was he could have just had not held in, and the fingers could have gone through, and he pushed himself up, right? But obviously with the bad camera angle, we weren't going to get that. Obviously a mistake out of the ref because the ref could have stopped it, put him back in a neutral position, and the knee from Boser, which then led to the, I guess, following hit that came in and the finish. Because I'm pretty sure he kneed him out of that. Like they got up, he was coming. OSP was coming up from the guy, and he caught him in the knee there, which then led to the combination and then the finish. Which, I mean, it was quick. It was really quick. I mean, the ref would have had to do a very quick reaction, right? But you got to give credit to Boser. I mean, he was looking good in the fight, and he did some good stuff when he got taken down. Like you said, he made his way to the cage and was able to start working his way up and maybe get himself up. And he did end up getting himself up, but obviously there was that controversy there. So a good one for him out of that.
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as the controversy goes, it's definitely there's not a good enough camera angle for me to say definitively.
Oh yeah.
Either way. But even then, I think it was kind of. This is what sucks about it, because Boser was dominating this fight, so
he'll never get the credit for it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll never get the good credit for it.
He won't. And OSP, OSP's older. He's a lot more gun shy because OSP in his prime, bad motherfucker, man. A great high kick, a lot of power in his hands. He's not looked that way for quite a while, but even then, he's still a nice win to have on the resume. He was a top 5 guy at light heavyweight for a long time from a title challenger. Boser's not going to get that recognition, and I thought he looked great, man, especially after the 2 losses in a row against Latifi and Arlovsky, man. He came back with a vengeance, so
we'll probably see him again soon.
We probably will. I don't know if it was him holding the fence, but regardless of that, I still think it was a nice win.
Yeah, it was a nice win. So we'll see who he comes up against here soon. I don't know. He's also in a weird spot. He's just got to make his way up. Really got to work hard for it, but he will. He's young and has a lot of potential, and he's a good heavyweight.
Of course. And as far as the rest of the card goes, my man, what are some of the fights you want to go and highlight?
I mean, like I told you before the podcast, Josh, I just want to make. I'm not, I'm not going to say we weren't right, but we were. I'm not going to say we were right, but we were right.
We were right.
we were right about the NBA playoffs. We were right about boxing, and we were right about this being a sneakily good card, man. I mean, it was. We were on point last week when it came to a lot of stuff, and it was awesome. I mean, God, dude, Josh, we could start literally anywhere. I mean, it was a card full of excitement, some sadness for some guys, but it ended up being very, very, very fun.
Yeah, man, it was a really, really fun card, especially some of those prelims. I mean, the main card itself did have some fun moments, some sad moments too. Obviously, the Fili-Pineda fight, that was a banger. Andre Fili probably looking the best he's ever looked, and then an eye poke in the second round, which really, really sucked. But like you said, man, Hanado Moicano got a submission win.
Finally.
Tim the Dirty Bird Means beating Nicholas Dalby. Julia Avila defeating Julia Sidorenko. And then our boy, dude, Justin James. Damn, that must have sucked.
Split decision, dude. The pain.
The heartbreak. And that was a fight that was really close, too. I remember he had him rocked really badly in the third round. And then he shot for a takedown. And damn, man. That really sucks. There's no other way to say it, man. I felt really bad for the guy. I hope he's back. I really hope he's back because he's never been in a boring fight so far in the UFC, and he's had a murderer's row of guys. I mean, Frank Camacho, Gavin Tucker, Gabriel Benitez, Devontae Smith, and Charles Rosa. That's rough, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. It has been.
As far as I know, I highlighted some of the fights there. What are some of the ones that you particularly found most impressive or most interesting to highlight?
Oh man, Kennedy Nzechukwu, man. Once again, just pulling it out of nowhere, dude. Granted, it probably shouldn't been like that. He probably could have fought a better fight as a whole. But Danilo Marquez, man. I mean, that first round, Josh. Did you watch that fight? Like, I don't know if you caught the prelims. I know sometimes we don't get to always catch them.
I did not see that fight, unfortunately.
Dude, round one, Josh, he gets him in a body triangle for the whole round. These guys were tall. So they're hanging over the fence, Josh. Mm-hmm. And Kennedy's making it even easier for him to hang on. He's like leaning on the fence, so all the weight that Danilo has is leaning against him. Whole round, he's having to fight off the hands. I mean, good job for him, right? Obviously, Danilo didn't get to do anything with it, but it was just the fact that he had to carry Danilo Marquez, another light heavyweight, on his back during the entire round. Loses that round. A lot of argument over where it wasn't supposed to be, if it should have been a 10-9 or 10-8. Obviously, didn't matter because it didn't go to cards. But I don't know what I want. I don't know what my true opinion on it. A lot of the people's argument was he didn't do anything for it, but I'm like, at the same time, that is control for the whole round, and the other guy doesn't do anything. So should the other guy really be credited that much with just the 10-9 round? I mean, once again, getting into the whole thing with judging. But granted, like I said, it didn't end up going to the cards, so it doesn't even matter. Second round, it was a little back and forth-ish. It ends up on the ground. And the third round, Kennedy comes out, man, and really lets his hands go. He doesn't have to, he doesn't pull back too much. He's not trying to, really go for those heavy hits. He's just, throwing his combinations, and then, he starts, piling it up, building it up, and ends up getting the finish. TKO, ref stops it. It was a good win, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I did see the finish of that. It looked very impressive. So good for him to go ahead and get the win. I mean, he's definitely a guy that has an interesting trajectory in the UFC, right? I mean, he 2 fights in, he was already on the Contender Series. 6 fights in, he was in the UFC, and now he's got 3 wins in a row. He's only lost to Paul Craig. I'm not sure if he's in the rankings yet, but he should be. 6'5", he's huge for that division. So that kid has a lot of potential, still in his 20s.
Yeah. So hopefully he keeps growing, keeps improving. He's a fun guy. He has a lot of work on it, though, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as far as the rest of the card goes, man, unfortunately, our boy Michael Pereira's in the fight of 5'6" against 6'3" came out of the wrong end. That really sucked, but
that first round he didn't look bad though. Let me tell you, I know if I remember right, it did look bad near the end of that first round, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I tried to watch it earlier today. I can't remember right now because I tried to rewatch a lot of the fights today to get ready for today. But yeah, man, he didn't look bad in that first round. I mean, I remember he hit him with a nice overhand, and I was like, oh, okay, let's go. Like early on in the first round, some good leg kicks. But yeah, no, that was I didn't think he was gonna come out of that one, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So as far as that goes, and as far as that whole card goes, like you said, it was quite a fun one. However, that was not the only MMA card last week. We did have a Bellator one, not as fun, I'd say, but there was still it was a pretty good card overall, honestly. Main event, Valentin Moldavsky. Like I said, we both couldn't pick against him. Fedor team, man, good prospect, young kid, 29, defeating Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson, man, he showed his heart. He showed that he is improved, but at the end of the day, nice win by Moldavsky. What do you think about that fight and him becoming the Bellator interim heavyweight champ?
Just wanted to put it out there, Josh. You're giving me a little shit for telling you, hey man, Tim Johnson, maybe he could. And Tim Johnson did not look bad, Josh. Tim Johnson.
No, but I know, but he didn't win though.
He didn't win. He didn't win, but you thought this guy was going to come down here and get starched. Like, he had a competitive
No, I never
fight.
said he was going to get starched. I never said that. But I said he wasn't going to win. And he lost all 5 rounds on one judge's scorecard, and then he only won 1 on the other 2. So it's
hey man, you know how these judges be, though. They really be, gassing my man out here.
What rounds did you give Tim Johnson?
I didn't keep a scorecard, but I
of course you did.
I thought he made a good account of himself. You know what I mean?
He absolutely did. I
think a lot of people would have looked at Tim Johnson, like just looked at Tim Johnson and would have been like, I don't know. I thought Tim Johnson looked good. He brought the fight to the man at points. He made Valentin step back. I just want to say,
I've always been a fan of Tim Johnson and the mustache, but at the same time, he didn't really first of all, at no point was he actually really winning that fight. So my point still stands.
I mean, I was just like, you never know, man. Like if he's staying in it, it's not like he was getting dominated or anything. Like he wasn't like getting like fucking Calvin catered, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to be fair, historically speaking, literally nobody else has been Calvin catered.
Yeah, no one has been Calvin catered. I know.
That was 4-10-8 rounds.
You mean Calvin caked? No, I'm just kidding.
I think he legit. It was either 3 or 4-10-8 rounds. It was fucking brutal, man. Historically speaking, nobody's been Calvin catered.
But let's pull it back a little bit here, man. I just want to give a little love to Tim Johnson and say, hey, he has potential. He came out and was competitive. He didn't get finished, and he could find himself in this situation very soon. Granted, because Bellator's, all their divisions aren't like massively stacked, so it wouldn't be very hard to see him back here again, but still, maybe he comes back and even has a better performance. He learns. I mean, he is definitely, his skills are good. I think the one thing that for him that sucks is I think he wishes he was at this point in his career now, like as well as skills and kind of what he's developed now when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing he wishes.
I'll give him credit. I mean, look, Moldavsky, I almost felt like that was kind of the story of the fight, is what you're saying. That Tim Johnson came out looking like better than most people thought, because I mean, let's give him credit. He never really got that big moments. Like even whenever he beat Congo in France to get the title shot, but that was a split decision. I remember thinking that Congo won that fight anyway. And then obviously he knocked out Matt Mitrione and he knocked out Tyrell Fortune, but those were COVID events, so nobody was even there. He never really he never got the applause. So even in a fight where he lost, I was glad to see him get some shine. Moldavsky though, moving forward, man. For Ryan Bader's sake, I hope that he does not fight this man. I think that's a really bad matchup for him.
Valentina or Tim Johnson?
I'm saying like for Bader to fight Moldavsky, it's a bad matchup for Bader.
Well, yeah, it's an extremely mobile guy who can also wrestle. It's probably like the worst thing you can do at heavyweight. Like the worst, like as far as MMA do, the guy who's really mobile at heavyweight has pretty decent hands and can wrestle will fuck you up like 99% of the time.
For sure. And I mean, overall, though, it was a really entertaining fight. I like to see that fight. At some point in the future, obviously, Bader's going to be tied up for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll go ahead and see. We'll see what happens. As far as the co-main events, man.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Wasn't even close. Liz Carmouche, I know we did both pick her, but Liz Carmouche has not had a stoppage win since July 2013, whenever she knocked out Jessica Andrade. Damn, she wasted no time. 35 seconds in, she TKOs Kana Watanabe, just throws a huge flurry, tags her, drops her. 35 seconds in, man. Carmouche is next with a title shot. There's no other argument. What are your thoughts about her win over Kana Watanabe?
I mean, dude, we got 35 seconds. I mean, what do you want me to say, man? I mean, it was perfect for her, right?
It was literally perfect. Yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, she deserves the title shot next. There's not a whole lot we can say, unfortunately. But just absolute props to her, man. Just because, I mean, we did both pick her to win, but not like a capacity like that. I mean, I said it before that, like, she is levels above a lot of those Bellator girls. But, damn, dude. Like, that was rough.
And I mean, granted, it's because a lot of them are young. None of them have a lot of, like, nearly as much experience. Not even the champ has fought as much as her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the truth. And, yeah, I don't know. And then I hope Kana Watanabe comes back too, because I really do like her style. I think she's fun to watch. I mean, and I knew that, and I already thought the striking was going to be an issue, anyways. I was just like, my whole thing was like, I didn't know what kind of fight Carmouche was going to come out and fight, and that wasn't even the case. She just came out and put her out, so there was no question about it.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. And as far as the rest of the card goes, outside of Carmouche's win and obviously Moldavsky's win, what are some of the fights you want to go ahead and highlight?
Well, the one I didn't get to comment on last week, Soren Bach, man. I mean, what a performance. I mean, this guy, I wish that guy was in the UFC so bad, dude. Also, dude, I love seeing so many different countries being represented in MMA, dude, for me. So I love to see these guys, from like all parts of the world. And he's from Denmark, and it's just cool to see a guy from another region, to have that kind of fan base and kind of that support from somewhere else, and those Nordic guys were always really fun. So, and the Nordic fans are amazing, man. In all sports, I watch a lot of soccer, so I see the love all around.
For sure, man. And so obviously you shout out Soren Bach getting the win. The fight that I want to go ahead and highlight, man, I would never would expect this in millionaires. Sydney Outlaw. Sydney Outlaw, if you guys don't know him, I don't blame you. He's not exactly a huge name. I mean, he's 29. He's been in Bellator for quite a while, man. And he's taking on Miles Jury, obviously one of the top fights on the card. Miles Jury has been, ever since he moved over to Bellator, he's been one of their more top guys. But dudes, Sydney Outlaw, man, coming off the winner at Piccolotti, and he just completely dominated this fight. He was on him like fucking glue, my guy. Obviously, Sydney Outlaw's biggest moment in Bellator before was getting knocked out by Michael Chandler, and he just went in there and dominated him for 3 rounds. He got the submission. I had him 2-10-8 rounds before that. He beat the dog shit out of him. So shout out Sydney Outlaw. Never would have expected that. And also shout out Daniel Weichel getting another win, getting back on the win column as well on the main card. But Angel, as far as Bellator goes, I know we went ahead and highlighted the fights we want to go and highlight. We highlighted the UFC card as well. You ready to get into some fan questions, my man?
I am, man. I'm excited. Obviously, there's no MMA this week, but that does not matter because next week you have a pay-per-view, man, and it's a big one, Josh.
It's the big one.
Maybe the biggest. UFC 264. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it on the night before. Plenty of the day of when we're together, because funny enough, for the first time in who knows how many years, me and Josh are actually going to be together watching a whole pay-per-view together. So this is going to be a great podcast when we come together.
For sure. And you know what's funny about it is, like, I never thought about it until you said that, like, for the first time in how many years. Like, I mean, I know we used to, like, watch, we'd, like, call each other over Skype, like how we're doing now, and then we watch it. Is this possibly the first time? I know that we, like, went and saw Bellator, like, at the Cinemark. Like, is this the first time we've ever, like, hung out together and watched a card in person?
And maybe in, like,
history on Saturday.
Maybe in 3 or 4 years to, like, actually, like, in person. That's what I'm saying, because if you include the Bellator one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's been a fat minute. So, I mean, that one's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, we're going to preview next week. Insane card. Connor's back. Just to go ahead. The Connor Dustin Shirley going to be absolutely insane. But obviously, like you said, no UFC this week. No Bellator this week either. No PFL. No nothing. And obviously, when in a situation like that, we go ahead and call on some fan questions. We called across all of our social media avenues. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, email, fucking anything. If you want to go and send in your questions. We got a couple of them here. I see, actually, most fun fact, all of these came through Instagram. Either the Courtside Soundoff Instagram page, or I got a couple on my Instagram as well. Firstly, so this ties back into what we talked about earlier, Sterogon. What are your early thoughts on Sterogon versus Derek Lewis? Obviously, this interim title fight just got announced for the August pay-per-view in Houston, in H-Town. Man, I mean, as far as a fight itself, I think we're both going to be in agreement. That's an awesome fight. I almost want to call it a 50-50 because Derek Lewis is so explosive that, you know, it can go either way. But what are your thoughts on the situation itself? Because we've never really seen anything like this, especially, and it's so weird considering it comes in the heavyweight division, which has been tied up for the last 3 years with no activity, and now that Gane wants one more month, they're throwing an interim title into it. What are your thoughts on the matchup itself and just the whole situation?
I mean, it's bullshit, man, for Ngannou, really. I mean, they could have made that fight happen. I don't know what their whole logic was behind it. I mean, we saw Stipe and plenty of other champs hold up the division for a long time, and for some reason they don't want to give Ngannou like another bit of time just to come back and get ready. Like, and it's not like, and like I said, Josh, theoretically, Ngannou's a guy who could defend the title 4 times or 5 times in a year, depending on how his fight goes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, Ngannou could literally fight 1 week and maybe fight the next week if end of event falls out. You know, that's how talented he is because of the way he finishes fights. I mean, he's finished multiple fights in recent time in the first round. I mean, his last fight only went to the second round? No, it took Stipe to the second. So it was just really sad and disappointing to see that. Obviously, I mean, I was ready for the second fight, man. I mean, whenever they had originally fought, that was a fight that was like, oh, these guys are going to come out, do this, do that. But now Ngannou's champ, things are different. Derek's a big contender. And Sterogon, after beating Volkov and just days later announcing that he will be fighting Derek Lewis, which, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Derek's kind of more, you know, he said he was just, for a while he seemed kind of a guy who just fought to fight. You know what I mean? Now he's fighting because he's kind of like, okay, I want to win. You know, like it's not necessarily being champ, but like to win. You know what I mean? Like these are opportunities now. Like the money's getting better now. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he was down for that Ngannou fight. And plus, like he's a funny guy, good personality, really easy to market. And then along with Francis, it would have just, you know, obviously his whole story. I mean, it just would have been a very easy storyline. With this, I feel like it's just like Sorrell's an interesting guy in it itself. Obviously, quick come up, very talented, super athletic. Doesn't speak much English, but it's decent enough. But it's just like you guys. I thought they really dropped the ball on this because it's like you guys would have had Sterogon there regardless. You know.
Yeah, and in a weird way, it's knocking out one of these guys as a title contender in a division in heavyweight where it's really important.
Yeah,
like,
it's very hard to get guys
because they all generally, I mean, let's be honest, they generally lose a lot. I mean, like the top guys. I mean, Volkov just lost. Jorginho is coming off a win, but before that, he lost 2 in a row. Stipe's coming off a loss. John is having his financial stuff at the UFC, so he's not going to fight for a while. Why are you taking this fight and making one of these dudes no longer a viable title contender? It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the other big thing because it's like you could have had these two guys fight in title fights. You know, now you don't get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so as far as that goes, I know you went ahead and gave your opinion, but I don't know, man. It's on the fight itself. I think we're pretty much going to find that middle ground where
it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah, no complaints for the fight. It's just it's not what I wanted because we had Ngannou and Derrick Lewis. Like I was ready for it, man. Like if you told me today, or if I was in charge, right, and they're like, okay, you get to make one of these two fights happen. Which one do you want? I want Francis Ngannou and Derrick.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be 100% real with you. That's a more appealing fight to me.
Yeah, and you and I have also been vocal on this because it's like I remember when that fight first got announced, like the second fight between them got announced. Most people were like, "Oh, that's why you're gonna do that." The first fight sucked. You and I have been very vocal on the show really since the beginning. That if you ran that fight back, they should run it back. It'd be a lot of fun, probably. I mean, we got the worst. If they ran that fight a million times, we got the worst result in real life. That's what happened. So I you know what, man? I'm sad this fight got made because I know Sterogon, Derrick Lewis, awesome fight. I love both these dudes, right? And it is a true 50-50. But it's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted at all.
No,
but
definitely.
As far as that, thanks for that fan question. Unfortunately, I did not write down names. I just went in.
Just know your question was answered and that you are that you matter and you are loved.
That's very nice of you, Angel. That's a lot more nice than what I was gonna say.
The judge is like, "Fuck you, don't have."
No, not that. I mean, not that. But yeah. So second one, favorite sports video game of all time.
Oh, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You know what, man? I put a lot of thought into this question, but I am gonna go ahead and let you go first.
WWE All Stars, if that counts. I know
WWE
that's such
All Stars.
I know that's such a cop out, but it was really fun. I hope that counts.
No, that counts. I'll go ahead and let that count because you know what mine is.
Josh is like WWE All Stars as well.
WWE All no, it is. I have a 2-way tie, and I know this is probably cheating. SmackDown versus Raw 2008. I played that game so many hours. Obviously, it is WWE game. You know that 2008 roster. That was the first one. I think that was probably my first WWE game I played. It was like on the Xbox 360. I put so many hours into it. It's probably like the only. I'm not even joking. It's legitimately probably one of like 3 or 4 games throughout my entire life that I've 100%ed. Like I remember like as a kid, they had like the hardest difficulty, and like one was like to get it like take Stone Cold Steve Austin and beat The Rock or something on expert or something. And they took me like weeks, and I finally got it. That's one of my favorite gaming memories of all time. Second place, Madden, I think 2012.
I do another weird one here in a second, and I'll do like a traditional sport just because it's kind of like I know it's kind of like cop out ish, but it still counts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Madden 2012 because I think that's the one that had Peyton Hillis, the former Cleveland Browns running back, like the fat white guy who for one reason, like if you guys, nobody remembers Peyton Hillis these days, but like he's just fat white dude, and you should look up highlights of him sometime. He played for Cleveland, and he was just a bad motherfucker for 1 year, man. He was just killing it. He was running over dudes. He was insane. But yeah, I'm gonna go Madden 12. What was your other gaming pick?
I was gonna do another one that's kind of like niche-ish, and then I'll do like two traditional ones. So I was gonna say like Need for Speed Undercover. I know, and like Gran Turismo, like back in the day, like those like during that time, the Gran Turismo that was out during that time, those older games. I don't know if you ever played any of those.
I did play the Gran Turismo games, but I was more of I wasn't really a fan of that type of a racing game, honestly.
I know it's a little different. Yeah, and then did you ever play Need for Speed Undercover?
Need for Speed Undercover was amazing, but I'm a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit type of man.
Oh, fuck off.
You've been seeing, I've been playing it on Xbox this past week ever since it got added to Game Pass.
Dude, if somehow I can get Need for Speed Undercover on Xbox One, I'll get it. If I can't, I'll try to find a way to get it on PC because it's such a fun game.
Such a good game, for sure.
Good story too. But then like we're kind of more like I do like FIFA 15 back in the day, like one of the first FIFAs I started playing like regularly. I didn't play FIFA very early on, but there was that it was like one of the last good FIFAs, and then 2K16, which was like the last good 2K.
Man, 2K, it sucks. Like that was probably the last good 2K. I mean, you're right. Probably. Actually, I take that back. I enjoyed 2K17 or 18. I can't remember which one though. But it's been like 3 or 4 years now of just straight ass 2K.
There was one of those that was decent. I can't remember which one you're talking. Can't remember which one it is, but you're right. One of those.
I think it was 2018. I want to say.
I don't know, but there was one in there that was fucking atrocious, dude. I can't remember what it was.
I remember 2019 was pretty bad, and then 2020 was worse, and then this year.
This one's all right.
It's all right, but like. It's somebody who like plays almost strictly franchise. Nothing's in there for me. Like
I play all the game modes pretty much. So yeah, I don't know. 16 was just really good for me. I know it was as far as like a lot of people. There's a good community that plays My Team, and then that was one of the more lacking My Team years. But it was still really fun. My Team was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was never a big My Team guy though. Also. But a lot of those basketball games do have like a special place in my heart. Some of those like earlier 2Ks, like not earlier, but you know what I mean, like 2K11, 2K12, shit like that.
I wonder if there's any other sports game that I'm missing I can't think of, or sport-like game that maybe I can't think of off the top of my head. Shit, Wii Sports, my guy. The fuck?
Wii Sports, oh my god.
Classic, hey, all jokes aside, Wii Sports is a fun game. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Wii Bowling is still my shit, dude. Like. I've legitimately contemplated buying a Wii again, just so I could play Wii Sports. I mean, like, dude, bowling, baseball, golf, nothing compared to the amazing Xbox Game Pass game, Golf with Your Friends. However, the Wii Sports version is still pretty fun.
But yeah, no, I'd say that's probably a good little, a couple games there that we picked that they're pretty good.
Those are some good picks. Shout out to basically all. I mean, I said it's probably my favorite, but like all the SmackDown vs. Raw games, just all of them. Perfect.
Can I count Super Smash Brothers Melee?
Super Smash Brothers Melee. How was that?
Technically, they're fighting, Josh, so it's combat and combat.
So that's because they're fighting. It's a sport. So yes. I mean, so does that mean I'm allowed to count Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Because then we might have an argument going, because there is hand-to-hand combat.
Actually, you know what was a good guy, dude? What is it? Super Mario vs. Sonic Olympic Games on the Wii was fucking fun. If you ever played that, sleeper fucking game. If anybody out there has a Wii and like go and like is able to get the game, go out and get it. Fucking fun game, trust me.
That's a fun game. That is a fun game.
You played it?
Yeah, I have.
Oh my fucking god! So you know what's up then?
Yeah. I mean, well, also, since we're down this path, does that mean we can go ahead and, if we're going to Dragon Ball Z, I got to go ahead and say, which Dragon Ball Fighter Z? That's the one I'm thinking of. That one's classic, because they're fighting.
Shit, so we can include Mortal Kombat, Street Fighters, just put the whole,
Yeah.
The whole fighting genre of games under it.
The entire fighting genre. I mean, man.
All
right. Man. So I mean, but we have to exclude all the fucking EA UFC games, all of them, all of them. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot one of them. Fight Night Champion, Fight Night, all the Fight Night games actually, all of them.
Oh, this is some good shit right there.
Yeah, Fight Night Round 3 was one of my first favorite sports games. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and I think we gave a lot of answers there, but I mean, we're sports guys who like also play video games for the most of our spare time. So I think we're exempt for giving a bit of a longer answer.
Oh yeah.
As far as this next one goes, man, it kind of ties in with the NBA talk that we were going to have later on in the show, but we'll go ahead and do it now. After this postseason, should the Paul George criticism stop? Now, obviously, this is in reference to Paul George pretty much putting the Clippers on his back for the majority of the playoffs. Obviously, Kawhi was out after round one. He was out. I think he played 2 games in the Jazz series, something along those lines. But for the most part, he was out for the playoffs. And during that time, Paul George just absolutely killed it. Now, he did get eliminated by the soon-to-be NBA Finals-bound Phoenix Suns.
I mean, they are NBA Finals. I mean, they are NBA Finals bound.
No, I said they're NBA finals bound, like literally, as in like they're gonna play next in the finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but obviously he did, lose, and he is now out. But after putting the team on his back, man, what do you think? A lot of the criticism is like, pandemic P, and a lot of the memes about him and about just how trash he is in the postseason.
Everybody's gonna always criticize any player, so it's never gonna stop. You know what I mean? Everybody will always shit on him. Anytime he misses a free throw, they'll make fun of him. I mean, dude, he did choke in that series with free throws. They could have won that game where they lobbed the ball to Aiden if he had made his free throws.
Yeah, and then it's a completely different series.
Yeah, and it's completely different. And it's not even just that. I mean, granted, there's multiple fucks of it, like Boogie not knowing the rule and just fucking hitting it straight at the fucking,
Yeah.
Shit like that also played a factor. There's a lot of things. It wasn't just him, but it's like, there's a lot of things that have happened, and he did mess up in free. It's still going on. It's like, hey man, it's the pressure. It's part of it. I mean, criticism will never stop. Every player, any athlete will always be criticized. Very rarely can you say he shouldn't be criticized.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm still going to criticize Paul George. I'm generally pretty lenient with a lot of my athlete criticism on the show, unless they're literally racist, or if they just do something that is ungodly stupid, or you know what I mean. But Paul George, I just dislike Paul George. I mean, the OKC situation never felt right with me. You know what I mean? Like, he got traded here. That's fine. Year one, that's cool. It's all good. And then he literally threw a party stating he was coming back and he's going to win us a chip. And then 1 year in, chokes in the playoffs, averages like fucking 12 points a game on terrible shooting. And then loses to Dame in the playoffs and then demands a trade. So it's just literally 1 year into his contract. So that's never going to sit right with me until Paul George retires, and then give it another 5 years. I legitimately dislike Paul George more than Kevin Durant. So
I don't know. I mean, you have reasons. I will never not dislike KD. Not gonna lie to you, as a sports fan, not as a person.
No, as a person, KD, hilarious. I love his Twitter. Straight up.
Oh yeah, he's funny, dude. Great shit talk, by the way. Be a great fighter if he had that. If he could fight, dude.
If KD could throw hands, he'd be in heavyweight division making tons of bank right now.
Oh yeah, dude. He'd be a guy. He'd be a draw. What else do we have? Or did I just knock my headset off? Am I still here, Josh?
Yeah, you're still here. Sorry. As far as that goes, like I said, I mean, here's the thing about Kevin Durant for me personally. I said that I hate Paul George more than Kevin Durant. I hate them both probably equally, but for different reasons. Like, it's just, I hate Paul George because of the because of the OKC situation, because, requesting a trade 12 months and demanding, because, like, you can't win with these cats, or that's what KD said. But Paul George insinuated that he couldn't win with the team either, despite the fact, like, the Blazers series, he averaged like 12 points a game on like fucking 17% shooting or some horrific stat line. And then obviously he's the one who Dame scored over, and he was like, "Oh, that's a bad shot." And I'm like, "Man, you look like a clown right now." Like, I dislike that. And then also KD, I dislike for different reasons, because like he basically ruined competitiveness in the NBA for at least 3 years, and then he tried it again this year.
Yeah, he tried. He was close too, by the way.
He was close. It took a lot of injury. It took LaMarcus Aldridge having some sort of heart condition
and retiring.
Kyrie getting injured, James Harden getting injured. Like, it took a lot.
Imagine a world, Josh, where we would have had the lineup of fully healthy Andre Drummond, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and LaMarcus Aldridge, also including KD.
I know, dude. It would not even. Although I think we're living in a good timeline right now, though, because I mean, we're going to be looking at the Suns against either the Bucks, or the Hawks.
By the way, I can't say it right now. We're still on fan questions.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll go and get off this because I don't want to kind of like devalue the NBA talk, which is going to close out the show. We're going to move on to our next fan question. This one actually comes in. I remember this one comes in from former host of the Courtside Soundoff podcast, Nathaniel Beggart.
Shout out Nate.
Beggs. Shout out Nate. Nate the homie, obviously. Thoughts on Sage Northcutt and drug testing in one. Now, this is generally coming off of Sage obviously posting a recent picture where he looks shredded out of his fucking. He looks peeled out of his tree. All right. Obviously, man. I know one recently said that they were going to try to get drug testing in. There's been nothing since then. And Sage looks like he's jacked. I mean, what are your thoughts on the whole situation with one drug testing and obviously also just Sage Northcutt moving forward, I guess, in one?
I mean, as far as the drug testing in one, I mean, that's, we know it's non-existent, and obviously stuff works different over there for one. So it's kind of like that's already a thing in of itself. We can't really, give them a lot of shit for that. And plus that it's not like the one and also good and bad great thing about MMA is that the promotions like Bellator, UFC, and ONE aren't sanctioning bodies, which is a good thing, but also bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain things where people have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it liability? Is that what I'm trying to think about?
Yeah, I believe so.
If for whatever happens is take in what they're doing. I guess it is liability, is what I'm saying. They'd be liable for shit. They need to be like, hey, if we want the sport to be clean and competitive and stuff like that, we need to be like giving the guy like number 1 and number 2 like belts and shit like that. Fighting for the title. We need to be drug testing on the regular. And like I said, that's stuff that is that we missed out because it's not sanctioned. Like obviously, we have sanctioning bodies like the Nevada Athletic Commission. I mean, there's not sanctioning bodies, but they're the athletic commissions, I guess, is the proper way to put it. Who come in and like help with reffing and other shit like that. But there isn't like a WBC, a WBA, IBF that kind of like, okay, these guys have to fight because this is a man, and that's kind of stuff that I think we kind of lack in MMA. But at the same time, it's also good because then we're able to make fights that we want to. I mean, there's a lot of issues like that. So we really do kind of get into this big kind of like deeper thing when it comes to having drug testing and being a big thing. And it should be, in my opinion, we should always have it in all sports. But it's just, like I said, it's in a different country. So even regardless, just shit works differently over there.
Yeah, of course. And like, look, my stance on drug testing has almost always been this. Is Sage Northcutt like on steroids? That's kind of what this question is partly insinuating. Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Everybody else, he might be now. I will say this, Josh. I mean, Sage has always been shredded since he was a little kid.
Yeah, I mean, he has insane genetics and he works very hard. Is he still on something? Probably. But my point is that so is literally the vast majority, and possibly I'd wager 90% of ONE FC.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not to like dog them or anything, because you still have to work. If you're on performance enhancing supplements, you're still working hard. You still have to, like, for example, like Sage about him. He's been shredded since he's been a kid. I'm sure he's always had to put in work on his physique. I mean, just if you take steroids, you don't automatically get jacked. Like that's a major misconception. You have to put in still a lot of work, an insane amount of work to get to that point in your career. So, at that point, like, yeah, I'd say 90% of ONE FC dudes probably at the same point. Yeah, it's in that way, it's fair because there is no drug testing. So who really cares? So,
I'm on the same page.
That's just pretty much my thoughts on it. As far as moving, last question, who does Stephen Thompson fight after he beats Gilbert Burns? So not only...
Oh, shit. This person predicts the win.
It's just, we're insinuating. Like, this, it's automatic, I guess.
Title shot, right?
Yeah, he should. Let's go into, he should get a title shot. He won't, though.
Well, depends on what kind of performance he has, too, because if Uncle Dana sees something he likes, Uncle Dana will make it happen, you know?
Yeah, I suppose so. At the same time, though, man, I wonder if that's part of the reason why they have not made that fight yet between Colby and Kamaru, is that Kamaru was waiting to see how Wonder Boy looks. Because let me say this, dude, Wonder Boy versus Kamaru has been a fight that I've wanted for a long time, honestly. I've talked about it before. I think I would pick Usman to beat every single dude in the welterweight division. I think the dude who has the most interesting stylistic problems for him is probably Wonder Boy.
Hey, man, don't sleep on my boy Burns.
I know. You're on the Gilbert Burns train, and we already saw how that went, though.
I know, but he didn't fight the fight how he should have, Josh. If I was in his corner, it would have been different.
I know. But, so, I mean, in this world, Stephen Thompson beats Gilbert Burns. Should he get a title shot? Yes, he should fight for a title. What will he probably end up doing? He'll probably have to sit on the bench like everybody else. Possibly fight the winner of Luke Chiesa. I don't like it, but that's the way the welterweight division is.
Hey, that'd be a good fight, though, too. Whoever gets out of those, that'd be a good fight as well.
For sure. But we all know if Wonder Boy wants to get a title shot, he needs to sit on the bench for a year and bitch about everybody else. But yeah, man. I mean, as far as it goes, that's all fan questions. But Angel, I do want to talk about a quick sponsor of ours real quick before we go ahead and proceed. And that sponsor is Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan that is simple, fun, and easy to play. Users determine which superstars competing in the day's professional sporting events will record more or less of the contest line provided. Monkey Knife Fight's daily fantasy prop games play similar to that salary cap daily fantasy sports games without the algorithms or lineups, most importantly, shards. There are several contests to choose from, none of which require hours of research required on competing sites. Start with a simple Super 2 with the highest payout up to 100 times and higher by selecting an 8 for 8 more or less contest. Let's get started now with a 100% instant match bonus up to $50 with promo code Courtside. So obviously you can go ahead and use Monkey Knife Fight for this weekend whenever the UFC's not UFC, I guess it'd be next weekend where UFC's going on, and then also the NBA, which, Angel, speaking of it, it's finally time. You have been waiting for a long time for not only your Phoenix Suns to even make the finals. Not
as long as some other people, though. Let me tell you.
Just for them to be a competent team. And they put it all together, man. Phoenix eliminates the Clippers, Game 6. How are you feeling, my man? It's finally here. It's finally happening. What are your thoughts, man? It looks like, I don't want to jinx anything, but it looks like it very well may happen. You guys may be NBA Finals champions.
Dude, I mean, let me put it out there. I didn't think for a while. At one point in my lifetime, I thought I might not never see them win or be very competitive in the playoffs, or maybe just make it to the playoffs but not be very good. Josh, I can almost die in peace now. I just need to experience a couple more things in my life, and I'll be happy with it. Just so you know. As far as sports wise, there's other things I want to accomplish. There's other things I want to accomplish, like being on Joe Rogan.
Have Joe Rogan on here.
Joe Rogan on here. Talk to Mike Tyson. Shit like that.
Yeah.
No, dude, it's been a crazy, wild journey. I was so happy to see that game end the way it did, and obviously CP3 gave a lot of love to Book, and I mean, hey man, all these NBA fans have been quiet, man. Let me tell you, they can't argue with what's going on right now. Like, what can you say about this team in a negative way? You know what I mean? You can't say this team's a super team. You can't say they didn't earn their way here. Even with the injuries, dude, it's not like we didn't deal with our own shit. Hey, round 1, we play LeBron James and Anthony Davis with an upgraded team, former champs first round. Hey, it's not like we didn't get hard competition off the bat. Hey, we lost CP3 with a shoulder injury for some of those games. We still won that series. Yeah, they lost AD, but hey, man, so we lost one of our good players too during that. Jamal Murray was already out for the most of the season for the Nuggets, but hey, man, the Nuggets were still a good team, performed well, and we played them in the following round. And we beat and it was the reigning MVP, right? Mm-hmm. Beat them. Booker has a good performance. I think we even had Abdul Nader out for a while, which I know Abdul Nader isn't a big part of our rotation, but he's still a guy we can fit in with, just certain sets and stuff, and just having another person is nice. And we come out here and play the Clippers. Hey, man, Chris Paul got COVID. We didn't have Chris Paul. They didn't have Kawhi Leonard. Shit, you can't say too much there about us because, hey, we didn't have our guy either. We also lost Kyle Johnson for one of our games there, and he's dealing with an injury. We even lost campaign at one point. So it's like, it's not like we haven't been injured either. It's not like we haven't had to deal with our own hobbling. And on top of that, Booker broke his nose and had to wear a mask. Like you really can't argue that the team didn't have to deal with its own adversity when it comes to that kind of stuff, and how far they've made it and how young they are and kind of everything they've done. Obviously, this is very easy for me to say because I'm a Suns fan, but these are just facts. I'm just putting facts out there. No one can really hate on us, really, for the kind of performance we're having because we've genuinely earned our way here in the most competitive and best fashion ever. I mean, I think this is one of the few times that this is really not like a super team. Granted, a lot of these guys, their career isn't done, so we won't be looking back and being like, I don't know in a few years what campaign will end up being, and I don't know in a few years what Mikal Bridges will look at the end of his career. Same with Cam Johnson. I mean, they might be, also just major stars, maybe still on the Suns or maybe on another team. I don't know how life will play out, right? But this is at its core right now. This is a team that is leaving a great legacy right now as it stands. And at the end of the day, whenever we talk about the Suns and bring up Devin Booker in his first ring, no one will ever remember that Anthony Davis went down, Chris Paul was hurt with his shoulder, that all these little nitty gritty stuff happened in this playoff series if they are to win.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and that is the important thing, is if they are to win, obviously they're still going to face the winner of the Bucks and the Hawks, which both those teams super banged up right now, and I think even if they're healthy, I'd still pick the Suns, but regardless, dude, I think you just laid it out really well. I mean, look, in the previous years, there's been it's hard to really kind of like say, oh, this team, people always dog them, right? It's always going to be haters, it's always going to be, douchebag NBA fans. We're always going to try and devalue it. And I've seen it a couple of times, with this Suns team. Now, it's not been by anybody even moderately intelligent. It's just those Twitter dudes that the only thing they know how to reply is with the ratio. You know what I mean? You've seen the types.
Which is now is the worst argument ever, dude. Like, at first it was like, okay, this is a decent comeback, but now it's so overused. It's like, dude, it's not even a good comment to say to anybody now. It's so overused.
It is. It's not even funny, but it's, the dudes, the NBA stands out there. It's like, Rockets #1 fan, and like they're always replying with shit. But nobody of any,
Braun, Mickey Mouse ring, Meltdown, like
exactly,
as much shit
as
much shit as I give LeBron and all that, like it is kind of annoying to see that shit.
It's the same thing. Like I mean, you saw it last year. Here's my thing. Is the point I'm making here is that every single NBA champ always has, this year doesn't count because blank. Like every single fan does that every single year. I saw it last year. I saw it the year before that. I saw it the year before that. I think these preceding years you can have some sort of an argument though. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I mean the Kawhi year, I never really agreed with that criticism, but obviously Klay got hurt in Game 6, I think. And obviously they didn't have KD for much if at any at all for that series. I think they only had him for like 2 quarters. But you know what I mean? Like, you can't help injuries, KD Warriors years,
it always happens, dude. It always happens. You can go back to every series. It always happens in the NBA playoffs. It's just a fact.
Sports are, dude. I mean, these guys have been playing for 82 games
right here. Prime example. And people are gonna probably shit on last year with the Chiefs, Josh. Can you agree with me on that? Decent example.
I think last year's Chiefs team is almost like an example that, like, it's kind of, that one's an over the top example because the Chiefs last year are injured like no team I've seen. You know what I mean? Because like very rarely do you see like a legitimate, and I don't think you really compare to basketball in this way, just because like literally every single offensive lineman is out. So I'm not sure if you compare it that way, but I think in the NBA way, every single year, every single team will have almost a major injury in the playoffs. Dudes play rougher. They're not going to get as many calls. They've also put their body to the limit for the last 6-7 months. So it's pretty natural.
I mean, the only reason I was making the comparison is because, the whole thing happened last game. And also, dude, at one point, we played Chad Henne. You know what I mean? It's like they really had to go through it. It's, you know what I mean? It's shit like that, It's shit that things people would have forgot if they would have ended up winning and stuff that happened. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
That's why I'm making the comparison.
Okay, yeah, I follow. But as far as it goes, even if they, and this is like obviously speaking from like our perspective, as like I'm not a Suns fan, but I've rooted for the Suns for like the last few years because I know you're a Suns fan. Whenever they win, I'm not going to give a shit. I know you won't give a shit, and like the players won't give a shit. So like, why does it matter? Like in that way, it's just in that respect, like you said, years from now, if they win, Nobody's gonna look at D-Book getting his first ring like, oh my god, Jamal Murray was out. Like
But it's not like Jamal Murray wasn't out the whole season, you know?
exactly. It's like, oh my god, but Kawhi Leonard was out. That sentence can be used for half of Kawhi Leonard's career. like it's stupid. Like, yeah, and then LeBron AD thing, like, yeah, AD was injured and missed like what, 2 games, 3 games?
But like even shit like that, it's like it's not like AD isn't prone to getting injured.
And CB3 was also injured, and it's like, and they even had AD for that final game, and they still lost. And they
played him, which was a little stupid too. I felt like they should have like tried to push him late in the quarter. I mean, that's another whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And but also, it's not like they were losing that series before AD went down.
Oh yeah, I know.
So
it's just like a logic thing that I thought about. It was like you can't even that Lakers series is probably like the easiest series out of all of them outside of the Nuggets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, didn't they both go 6 games, both the Lakers and the Clippers? Or
Yeah,
the Lakers
I think both LA teams did. Or actually, we might have beat the Lakers in 5. I don't remember.
I want to say it was 6, but I also don't remember.
I don't remember either. I just remember the games like
Fair
happening. I can't even think of fucking exactly how they went down. I can check real quick. I have it pulled up.
Okay.
It ended in. I just passed it. 6. It ended in 6.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It could have been done quicker too, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. But as far as it goes, man, we're almost to the finals, man. I know we both said Hawks, probably. Actually, I think we both said Bucks, if I remember correctly. But also, I don't remember because these are filmed.
After the last performance, man, shit, they might do it without Giannis. I gotta give him respect.
For sure. I mean, look, man, it's all Brook Lopez. It's just.
Dude, multiple guys showed up on that team. I mean, you got to give love to all of those guys. I mean, they really showed out. I mean, Brook Lopez literally had a 33-point performance. I mean, we can't overlook it.
He went like 33, 10, and 10 or something insane.
33-0-7. Not as crazy as you thought, but still really
Not as
good.
crazy as I thought. Not at all. Okay.
But dude, Bobby Portis showed out too. Like they was just the most unexpected shit. Like they didn't have Giannis and they went crazy.
Yeah, man. And look, hey, good for him. Good for that entire team, dude. Because after Giannis went down, I'm like, oh, that's GG. That is GG, my guy.
That's what I was thinking too. But then Trey didn't play that game, so I'm like,
But even then, without Trey, I was like, oh damn, I'm still not really worried about it. Because I mean, Hawks were winning that game without Trey against Giannis before Giannis went down. So I was like, oh man, that's gonna be tough. But then they curb stomped him, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, but they really did. And I mean, they play tomorrow, dude. I mean, this could still go to 7 games, and Trae Young could come back and push it to Game 7. So
that's absolutely possible.
This is crazy.
If Trae comes back, I'm leaning Hawks, but also like it's as simple as this for me. If Trae Young comes back, I'm gonna go Hawks. If he doesn't, Bucks. That's as simple as it is for me.
I don't know, dude. That Bucks team really showed some good talent. They were able to play, I think, different because Giannis wasn't there, which is kind of crazy to think about. I mean, who knows if they'll be able to recreate that again? If they are, I mean, good for them, dude. I mean, they'll be in the playoffs, and then do we have a word if Giannis is going to be coming back or anything?
I just got the update right now from Bleacher Report. There's belief that if they go to a Game 7, Giannis may be able to come back.
Okay, he'll probably force himself like 80 to come back.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alrighty. Is that the one thing we got on NBA news? Because I do have another thing related to NBA that we might even have in here.
I don't. Yeah, go ahead and go with your NBA news. I don't got anything.
Okay, Josh. Well, Bleacher Report came out earlier in the morning today that the 76ers reportedly rejected a trade for the Pacers' Malcolm Brogdon in a first round for Ben Simmons. Man, well, what are your kind of your early thoughts on that? And kind of that whole thing happening. Obviously, that was quick too. I didn't think they would have talks this quick already, but I guess they were like, "Yep, time to move on." So Ben Simmons is on the block. They're trying to get rid of him.
I think it needs to happen. I mean, honestly, the process is over. The process is over, dude. It doesn't work. The process has come to a close because we've seen this experiment 3 or 4 years now. And I like Ben Simmons a lot, and he clearly has good attributes. He just does not fit good enough within this team for them to win a championship.
And for him to perform for himself either.
Yeah, and for him, like as the second best player on the team behind Joel, it's not a good enough fit for them to go and win a chip. Which is honestly all that really matters. I mean, like Philly, first year, second year, the process obviously of those two. It's like, oh yeah, they may almost make the Eastern Conference Finals. They got bounced to the second round. It's all good, man. They're young. But now after another 2 years of it, and whenever, especially after this year, when they were the number one seed and they lost to the Hawks, it's like you can't really make excuses anymore. I mean, we know that it doesn't work for those two, like together as a duo.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't take that. I thought Malcolm Brogdon would have been a pretty decent fit.
Yeah, I understand. They're probably just waiting to see if they can get a bigger haul, though. I mean, most teams aren't even really thinking about potential trades right now.
Yeah, I know.
The season's not even over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but a lot of teams are out. And granted, there's Olympics and all that shit's about to happen, and some international players need to get ready to get going and to train with their teams. Is obviously most of the time they're in America. They're not overseas training with their Olympic team, so they need to go get in their rotation and figure out how they're going to play for the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shit like that too as well. And obviously we're going to get back to what will be a normal season, normal preseason. Like next year we're going back to normal, aren't we? Is that kind of what's going to happen? Isn't that what we're kind of looking?
I believe so. I believe it's all going back to normal.
Yeah, normal draft day, normal everything. So yeah, no, that's going to be crazy. And obviously they did they dropped the ball. So we saw how everything went down. Was it Detroit who ended up with the first pick? I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was Detroit.
Yeah, which they're in desperate need of that, but they have a lot of they have some good young guys that I really like, so I'm not really worried about them, and hopefully they bring in some young talent that can help them out. The Warriors got like a decent pick too. I heard a rumor that the Warriors are thinking about trading James Wiseman.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, James Wiseman and someone else, and like maybe their pick, I don't know, and like get another big player. I forgot who I saw. I saw someone crazy, and I was like, what? And I'm like, they could get away with that, but I'm like, holy fuck, they really are making a super team again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know they're going to try.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Shit. I mean, they got a good team now with Kelly Oubre, and then the guys that got in there, James Wiseman. Shit, if Klay Thompson comes back, and they got Steph Curry, and they still got Draymond. I mean, shit, dude, that's a championship team still.
Exactly.
Which is a scary thought for some of us.
I don't think that team, if they were to go ahead and get, for example, if they were just going, if it was a normal team with Klay back, I don't think they're out of contender at all. I think they still need one more big piece, honestly.
Another decent guy. I'm sure they'll get someone though. I mean, I was just surprised that they were like thinking about moving on from James Wiseman, especially since they did a pretty good job with him. I mean, he had decent performances. I mean, he did well. Obviously not LaMelo Ball Rookie of the Year status, but yeah, it still came out here and did his thing. And obviously, free agency and all of that's about to go down here soon, and trades and all that. So we'll be keeping up with that. I mean, Josh, contract extensions. Lonzo was on a contract year, and I mean, Josh, I wish I could find a clip because I was going to send it to you after Lonzo had a good year, and you were like, I don't know, I really just kind of gave up on Lonzo, and it's like, and I was going to show you like Lonzo's stats compared to last year, and like games that he had, and it's like this is probably the best year he's played, had the best percentages, like literally everything. I'm like, yep, that's what I expected.
Fair enough, I guess. I mean, I still, as far as my belief in Lonzo, it's not that he can't be a fine role player, but like, I don't know. I'm still not a believer in Lonzo. I just don't think he'll be as good as we want him to be. He's still,
I mean, he'll be good. I mean, he'll definitely always be star caliber or starting point guard type guy. You know what I mean? Like,
will he be though?
I think he's the kind of guy you want running your offense. I feel like he can be. He's a solid passer, good vision. He's improved a lot. Good defender. It's the kind of guy you want on your team.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to argue because, like, I've made my opinion of Lonzo very known.
And just wait, Josh. Just wait till LiAngelo makes it into the league, and they can trade for LaMelo. Big baller brand.
3 days whenever all three of them were in the NBA.
Yes, I did.
Whenever LiAngelo was on.
And then their old teammate.
Pistons, maybe?
I don't know. He was with the Pistons for
and with OKC before that, but we let him go.
Yeah, hopefully he can make his way back to the league and maybe have a good performance. He's definitely one of those guys that I think I just want to see what he can do. That's my big thing. And their cousin, their old, I don't know if it's their cousin, their old teammate. That's what it is. He's just their old teammate. I don't think it's his cousin, but their old teammate, Onyeka Okongwu, he's on the Hawks. Shit, all three of them, they could have the old Chino Hills lineup back in the NBA.
Oh shit.
They could be running that Chino Hills offense, man. Just about to throw that shit down the court. I mean, this is a big possibility at some point. I do think at some point in my lifetime I would love to see how Lonzo and LaMelo play together on the court.
I think it's a reasonable possibility. Just by virtue of, first of all, I mean, we know that LaMelo's not going anywhere. Lonzo, though, I could see him potentially making his way to like LaMelo's team at some point, just by virtue of him being. I mean, he's a free agent this year. Shit. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I think he'll be able to extend it. Unless he wants to go with his brother, unless they're in talks with that. I don't know if that's a possibility or not, because that'd be kind of crazy, though, because.
And then they bring in LiAngelo, because, I mean, it's not like anybody else wants him.
No, but my whole thing is, like, it's a good situation in Orleans. I mean, they're full of young talent, and they have fucking Zion. They have Xanos. I mean, that guy is a fucking unit, Josh. We saw it this year. Like, they didn't lead the wins, but it's like, yeah, like it's no fucking surprise. We know fucking Zion is gonna be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give him time. He's gonna get better, which is the fucking scary part.
So actually, I just looked it up. Apparently, there's rumors that they might actually sign LiAngelo. Charlotte might.
Fuck,
so
man.
We might actually have, because apparently that's what
we could get all three big ballers.
Right, it might happen.
I don't know. I love to see it. I think it'd just be a fun thing, man. It doesn't have to be a successful experiment, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
And it'd just be cool, as brothers. I think it'd be cool to see all three guys play one time.
Mm-hmm.
All three guys one time on the court, and dude, if they were fucking like a nasty trio, doing some and one shit out here, that'd be sick, dude. That'd be a good storyline, and that would bring a lot of eyes to the NBA. I mean, you saw how many eyes they brought outside of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine what they could do in the NBA if they were to recreate some magic like that.
Yeah, of course. But as far as the NBA goes, man, is there anything else we want to talk about before we close out?
Not really right now. I'm just gonna mention some stuff to you off the podcast that I don't need to mention on air. Nothing bad or anything. It's just stuff that I don't want to talk about regarding some sports stuff coming weeks, just plans. Yeah, some stuff. Really excited. You know what I mean? That's really what it is.
Of course, man. And well, if you guys did enjoy the show this week, as always, go ahead and support us on the social medias at Courtside Sound 1. I'm at Josh Evanoff. He's at _01. Make sure to subscribe, rate us on Apple. We only have 3 or 4 reviews. We got to bump that shit up. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.